Welcome back to the Elite Trainer Academy podcast. Today, I'm going to give you 5 ways to separate yourself as the best trainer in your big box gym. Now, these principles will apply, if you're in a small box, a boutique studio, online even, these principles still apply. But I do want to speak specifically to the big box trainers because I think that big box trainers tend to be most neglecting of these specific things that I'm going to talk about. And that's just speaking from experience, from my experience in big box gyms. I know I wasn't great with these things. In fact, it wasn't until I left a big box gym that I started to really figure this stuff out. And I wish that I had somebody telling me to focus on these things while I was in a big box gym. Being in a big box gym can be a fantastic experience for getting a lot of experience and reps fast with training clients. And that's going to be even better for you if you're focused on the right things, not just going through the motions. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about. How we can separate ourselves as the best trainers in whatever gym setting we're in, but specifically today talking to big box trainers. So the first one is having multiple touch points with clients between your sessions. Okay. What do I mean by this? Most big box trainers will have a client come in 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 times a week, but I would say that's probably more rare in a big box setting. And then that's it. You see your client once a week and that's it. That's the only communication you have with them. We'll do our 30 or 60 minute session and then it's see you next week. And I think that's terrible. That's not effective coaching. We need more communication and more connection and more touch points throughout the week between sessions. It's necessary. If we want to really affect change in this client, it's not going to happen in just a 30 or 60 minute session one time a week. It's just not going to happen. So we need to have systems in place that we are communicating with and reaching out to and supporting and guiding our clients throughout the week. Because when somebody's in a session with you, for one, you're really focused mostly on the workout. And so sometimes that doesn't leave a lot of time for communicating other things that are really important, like nutrition. And there's so many things within a person's life and their day-to-day experiences that we can really get into. And we probably just don't have enough time to do that in, 1 30 or 60 minute session per week. So that's one point. This is probably one of the biggest changes that I made as a coach that improved my clients' consistency and results. This isn't me being dramatic or just trying to oversell you on this. Like, this really is one of the biggest things you can do as a coach. So what does this look like? These can be they can be the smallest messages throughout the week. It can be as simple and as small as, hey, John, I saw that you hit your protein yesterday. Great job. Or, hey, John, how did that workout go on your own? I know I put in some shoulder presses. How did those feel? Or, hey, John, I saw that you hit a PR on your bench press yesterday. That's awesome. Like, little messages like that throughout the week go such a long way. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. It's super effective for multiple reasons. I would say probably the number one reason it's super effective is because your client feels that you're with them throughout the week. They feel that you're paying attention, and that's going to keep them more accountable, and it's going to help them feel encouraged and supported. The other reason that this is so effective is because it opens the door for them to communicate back to you. So sometimes what will happen is the client will start to feel, if you're not communicating with them between sessions, they'll start to feel like if they have questions or struggles or if things come up that they need help with, they'll feel like they're a burden reaching out to you. Like, oh, I don't want to bother him. He's busy. But if you're constantly reaching out to them and you're in constant communication throughout the week, they don't tend to feel as hesitant to reach out to you when something's going wrong or when they need help with something. So this opens the door for a client to reach out and say, hey, I've got this question, or I'm struggling with this thing. What do you think about this? Can you help me with this? It starts to open the door to those conversations. So it allows you to be more effective as a coach. Okay. Very, very important. So if you're not doing this, find a way to implement some sort of system to remind you to do this. It can be, just to give you some ideas system-wise, there are different ways that you can track this. There's there are a lot of these softwares and apps out there that are like productivity trackers and things like that. You can totally get into stuff like that. That's what we use here at Mind Pump for our personal training clients. Is we've got specific trackers set up where we're able to check some boxes throughout the week on clients so that we can very quickly see, oh, it looks like I haven't reached out to this person in a couple of days. Let me make sure I do that. Or you can just simply put reminders in your phone or in your calendar, tasks to complete throughout the week. However you want to do it, there's a number of ways that you can implement this, but finding some system that works for you consistently, repeatedly, very important. And, again, I'm speaking mostly to big box trainers, but this also goes for online coaches as well. I think online coaches tend to naturally just do this better because you're kind of naturally set up in a situation where all your contact is happening via messaging or video. And so you probably just tend naturally to do this more, but if you're not intentional about it, you should be. And every client, depending on the personality and coaching style of the client or the coach even, will necessitate a different frequency of how often you do this. For most people, higher frequency tends to be better generally. But there are some people that don't really want it or need it as frequent. It might start to feel like it's too much for some people. And so that's why you want to know your client. You want to know their personality type and what specifically they need. But I would say most of the time, it's not a bad thing to overdo this. But just pay attention to how they respond. If you're consistently doing this with a client and they're just like ghosting you and never responding to your messages, then it's like, okay, I should probably pull back a little bit. But you can just pay attention to real-time feedback on how the client is reacting to it. Most people will really appreciate it. And again, you have to do it right. So it's I think it's a healthy balance or mix of sometimes it's just quick little statements that they don't really need to respond to, that they can just kind of thumb up the message or whatever. Like the examples that I gave you, which would be like, hey, great job hitting your protein yesterday, or excited for this workout that you have tonight. Hope it goes well. Things like that. And then mixing that in occasionally with more conversation starters, like asking a question like, hey, how did that squat feel yesterday? Or how did your hip feel on that one exercise we've been talking about? Whatever, something that's more of a conversation starter. I think doing a mix of those things tends to be pretty effective. Principle here is just find more ways to communicate with your clients throughout the week. You're going to have far better results with your clients. They're going to be far more consistent. All right. The second way that you're going to separate yourself as the best trainer in your gym is taking time each week to review your client roster. I highly recommend that you have some sort of list somewhere, whether it's just in the notes of your phone or in a Google Doc or a Google Sheet somewhere where you're tracking your full client roster. And then I would have some sort of rating on how they're progressing or how they're doing. It can be very simple. It can be, 3 options. They're, progressing in the green. They're maybe struggling a little bit in the yellow, or they are, they're at risk in the red. It can be as simple as that, where you assign it a red, green, yellow. You can get a little bit more specific with it and, add in more options that make sense to you. You can do it however you want, but you should have a list somewhere of all your clients and be able to see at a glance who is struggling and who is really at risk and potentially going to fall off or, lose consistency, lose momentum. You want to be able to see that. And then taking time each week to review that and to review the clients that are at risk and figuring out how you can get them back to progressing in the green. Extremely important. Like, it sounds obvious, but most trainers aren't doing that. Most trainers aren't taking the time intentionally to say, hey, it looks like John is really struggling. He's been missing our check-ins. He's been missing some sessions here and there. He doesn't respond to me all the time. I really think that he might fall off soon. And then intentionally putting a plan in place to pull him back to progressing again. Most of the time, this only takes like 30 minutes a week. Hopefully, if most of your clients hopefully are progressing, so this doesn't take a ton of time. But just being intentional about this goes such a long way. And like I said, it sounds so simple and so obvious. And you probably are thinking, if you're not doing this, you're probably thinking like, oh yeah, well, I know which clients I have that are struggling. But when was the last time you actually sat down and said, okay, these are my 3 clients that are struggling. What's my plan to get them back on track? Like, you need a specific plan. It's not just going to happen. If you're not doing this, do this. All right. The third way to separate yourself as the best trainer in your gym is to track your cancellations and your no-shows. Stop complaining when people aren't showing up for sessions and take some accountability for it and figure out what is causing this person to miss their sessions. There are different reasons for why somebody might cancel a session. I'm not talking about the random one-off where, Susie's been consistent for months and then she had some family emergency and she missed a session. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the clients that are consistently canceling sessions at the last minute, or just no showing and not telling you, not communicating with you about it. That's what I'm talking about here. We need to be tracking that. We need to know, because sometimes if it's kind of spread out where it's like, happens once every 4 or 5 weeks, it's like, oh, that doesn't seem like that big a deal. But if that's happening, very consistently, or if the rate at which they're doing that, it becomes more frequent, it can be very subtle sometimes. You might not realize it. So it's very helpful to have numbers around that. And then you can start to tie that to I kind of feel like this client isn't really progressing how I would like them to. Why is that? And then you look, you go back and you look and you're like, oh shoot, they've been missing 2 sessions a month and I didn't even realize it. So start tracking so that we have some awareness around this, and then take the accountability and figure out, what can I do to help this client be more consistent with showing up? And again, if you're an online trainer, this still applies for check-in calls and check-ins that you do. If they're missing check-ins, if they're not filling out their check-in form, if they're not showing up on a check-in call, or they're canceling, we want to track it, and then we want to figure out how we can increase that. It's just a great metric for tracking client progress. And because it's metric, it's something that we can actively work on improving. So if a client is missing 2 out of every 10 sessions, that's a number, and that's a metric. That's something that we can look at and say, next month, how can I help this person be more consistent? And we decrease that number from 2 out of 10 to 1 out of 10. And then we can track tangible progress. Okay. Fourth way to separate yourself as the best trainer in your gym is to organize group events for your clients, and even for for non-clients. This is so underrated, and most trainers aren't even thinking about this, but finding ways to create community and engagement with your clients, with each other. Like, when was the last time you introduced one of your clients to another client? Most trainers aren't doing that, and it's extremely effective. A lot of clients, even if you have the best relationship with your client, a lot of clients view you as the trainer as some unattainable person. Like, they have these goals, they have these fitness goals they want to reach, and they view you as the trainer sometimes as like this perfect person that's like, oh, well, of course they're fit because they're doing everything perfectly. There's no way that I can be like that. But then you introduce them to another client that you have, and they feel more relatable. It feels like, oh, this is somebody that's more on the same page as me, somebody that is kind of coming from where I'm coming from. They get me. And so that goes a long way for creating consistency with your clients. And then, not to mention, like, people just love having friends and building relationships. And that's going to keep people coming back. There's probably few things that you can do that will keep somebody consistent and coming back than helping them build relationships. This is something we talk about all the time as coaches, is building that relationship between the client and you. And that's great. Like, start there. Like, if you're not doing that, that's for sure, that's where you should start. But this is like the next level to that, is you build that relationship to the client with you, and then you help them build that relationship with other people in the environment, in the gym, other clients, that goes a long way. But you'll see a lot of these workout programs that really just aren't good at all, but people enjoy the community of them so much that they'll stay consistent for a really, really long time, regardless of even oftentimes injury and overtraining. They'll stick with it because of how much they love the community. In fact, I've had clients come to me and say, clients and non-clients, I hear this all the time, that'll say, I know that this workout program wasn't good for me. I know it was too much, but I just love the community. So that's how important this is. That's how effective this is if you can build community, you'll keep people coming back forever, right? And hopefully you're also giving them good programming and good, proper, appropriate exercises. So that way they're actually making real progress. But the point is here, if you can help them build community, they'll keep coming back forever. And what does this look like? Like, what are ways that you can do this? Well, for one, the easy way is to just introduce them to other clients that are around the gym. It doesn't have to be your clients. If you're training a client, they come in for a session and, another trainer is, that you work with is also training a client at the same time, just introduce them. Like, hey, John, I don't know if you've met Susie. This is, she's working with this trainer. Just introduce them, say hello. And then more often than not, like, they'll probably see each other really frequently because they're probably on a similar, they probably come to the gym at that same time every week to work with you. So they'll probably see that person often. And so introduce them, they'll start to talk over time. They'll probably, you never know, they'll build a relationship or friendship. So it's good practice. Now there's other ways that you can go about intentionally doing this. Organizing like group events is great. So one of the things that we do here with our one-on-one clients at Mind Pump is we have a weekly mobility class. And so this is great. We do it in person. We also, we do it on Zoom for people that don't live locally here, which is most of our clients. But, for the people that live locally here, they come in and we have a mobility class. And so they get to meet other clients that work with Mind Pump trainers. So it's great. It's a great experience. And so you could do something like that, a mobility class. You can do a nutrition seminar. You can do an introduction to squatting class, something like there's a million things that you can do around this. But the point is you just create an opportunity for clients to meet other clients and non-clients too. You can always extend this to, friends, family, all that stuff too. That's always great. The last thing that you can do to separate yourself as the best trainer in your gym is to just talk with everyone. Like, this is super simple. Just talk with everyone. Engage in conversation. Be friendly. This will set you apart from other trainers. As simple as it sounds, this will set you apart as one of the best trainers in your gym. Most trainers are so afraid to do this. And I get it. Like, getting out of your shell is tough. So I'm not saying you need to, go approach somebody when they're in the middle of their workout. Like, that's, that can be pretty nerve-wracking, or like you don't want to bother people. I get that. Just start with saying hi to people as they walk into the gym. Like, it can be super simple, but just start to get in front of people, start to interact with people. You want to become a friendly face. You want people to start to recognize you. And so that starts with just talking with people, just saying hi. It can be that simple. Like, hi, welcome to the gym. Hey, welcome in. How you doing? Like, start there. And then you can start to work on, being a bit more conversational, asking questions like, hey, welcome in. What are you working out today? You can start to engage a bit more like that. But just starting out, just say hi. Start greeting people. But the point of this is you want to get very comfortable with that. This is going to be so good for so many reasons. I'm not even going to really dive into too much into like the sales side of this and how effective and important this is for getting new clients, because that's a big part of this as well. But that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it to build relationships and to build connections, and also just to get practice talking to people, because communicating with people is the most important part of your job as a trainer. And so you're just going to get better at that as you do this. This will separate you as one of the best trainers. So have as many conversations as you possibly can every day, and set a goal for this. Set a goal. Like, today I'm going to have 30 conversations. Or maybe you start you start even smaller and you just say, today I'm just going to say hi to 15 people. Start there. Whatever it is for you, like set a goal around this and do it daily. And watch what happens. You're going to feel more confident talking to people. You're going to improve your communication skills. You're probably going to get more clients. But again, that's not even the reason I'm saying to do this, but that'll probably happen too. You're going to separate yourself as one of the best trainers. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you have questions or if you have comments or just general feedback on the show or on topics that you would like to see us cover here on the podcast, reach out, let us know. You can leave a comment or message me on Instagram at MindPumpKyle, or you can message Mind Pump Academy on Instagram as well. Let us know your feedback. Let us know what kind of topics or content that you want to see, and we'll do our best to put it out for you.